Hey guys, happy Thursday, happy last day of April, and happy only 9 more instructional days left. So we'll go ahead and get going with what we have today. Pythagorean theorem is our review for today. I have the formula supplied here for you. I have the diagram reminding you that it works with a right angle, right triangle. A and B are the legs. They're the ones connected to the right angle. C is the hypotenuse, and it is opposite. So let's put some labels in here for you real quick. Hypotenuse, I think that's spelled right. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. C is always along the side. An order for A and B does not matter because they end up getting added together eventually anyway. Okay, let's go ahead and do our examples. We'll start with writing down the formula. Then we'll go ahead and make our label our diagram. So I'll go ahead and kind of use the top as my guide. We'll label this one as A, this one is B, and this one is C. And then since I have my formula already written down, we'll go ahead and make the substitution. So I'm going to leave A as A squared. This time I'm going to put 8 in for B squared and 10 in for C squared. And so we'll go ahead and square everything on this next step. 8 squared is 64, 10 squared is 100. Okay, getting a little ahead of myself on this one. Our goal is to solve for A, so we're going to try and get A by itself, and our next step to get A by itself is we're going to do the inverse of a plus 64. We're going to subtract 64 from both sides. When I do that, I have A squared is equal to 36, and then from here, we'll go ahead and remember to solve for A, get it by itself, the inverse of A squared is to find the square root. So we'll go ahead and take the square root on each side. And you know what, I'm going to try and fix my ladybug because my calculator is a little bit crooked, so sorry. We'll see if that helps at all. So the square root of 36, we get 6. Sorry, one more adjustment. I know I should have done this before I started the video, so hopefully that helps a little bit. Go ahead and put down 6 right here. Let's go ahead, 6 yards. I almost forgot my label. There we go, A equals 6 yards. Alrighty, let's go ahead and move on to numero dos. So same thing, we'll go ahead and put down our formula. I know I'm using a right triangle, so I know I can use Pythagorean theorem. Let's go ahead and label 7 as A. My other leg is B, and I'm going to put that right there, and then 15 is going to be C, remembering that it's opposite from the right angle. All right, next step, I'm going to go ahead and make my substitution. So I'm going to put 7 in for A, so I have 7 squared. B squared looks like we're solving for B, and I'm going to go ahead and put 15 in for C. My next step, I'm going to square everything. So 7 squared is 49. B squared. 15 squared, just a reminder on how to show that to you. So 225 squared. Oh, the answer is 225. Whoops. So 15 squared is 225. There we go. So we'll go ahead and put that in its place. Then to keep solving for B, our goal, again, to get it by itself, we're going to have to do the inverse of that 49. So if it's a positive 49, the inverse of that is to subtract 49. We do it to both sides of that equal sign. So 49 does subtract out, so I have B squared by itself on one side, the equal sign. Next, I'm going to take 225 and subtract 49 from it, and I get 176. My last step here, again, my goal is to solve for B. So if I have B squared, the inverse of B squared is to find the square root. If I do it to one side, we do it to the other. 176 is not a perfect square. So second x squared, 176. And so again, I'm finding the square root. and it's 13 and 27 hundredths. When I round to the hundredths place, that's in the directions, so that's why I'm doing it. And we'll put that label of centimeters on there for you. Okay. All right, the last one. Last one, it says one leg is 9 meters and the hypotenuse is 18 meters. We're going to have to find that missing length. So if I use the formula, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, my next step is just to make the substitutions. 9 is going to go in place for one of the legs. I have a and b are both legs. It doesn't matter where you put 9. I'm just going to put, I think, you know what, you guys like a squared, and I'm going to put 9 in for b squared. So I have b squared instead of 9, I have 9 squared instead of b squared. And then I'm going to put 18 in for c squared. Remember, the hypotenuse has to be c. Okay, it has to be by itself on one side, that equal sign. So my last step here, or my next step here, is going to find the square of these numbers. So a squared, that's what we're going to keep that as is. 9 squared, so that's 9 times 9, which is 81. 18 squared, this one's probably not so commonly memorized, so we'll go ahead and use the calculator to help us. 18, you can do 18 times 18, or you can use the squared button, or you can do that. And do that. So, but anyway, 18 squared is 324. We'll put that in there. To keep getting a by itself, if I have a plus 81, the inverse of that is to do a minus 81, so we'll subtract 81 from both sides. So the 81 does subtract out. I get a squared by itself. And then 324 minus 81 is 243. So I'm going to write that down. Now we are at the last step. Last step to solve for a. If I have a squared, we're going to do the inverse. The inverse of that is to find the square root. If we do it to one side, we do it to the other. Here we go. Hit second, x squared, 243. Enter. We have 15 and 59 hundredths. Put the label on there. It looks like it's meters. All right. That's it for today's review. Yay! All right. And that's it for this week's videos in Google Forms, I think. So I will see you guys next week. Have a great weekend.